Hello children, welcome back. Let's continue with our lesson, Who's the Greatest? Now, do you remember what this lesson is about? This lesson is about Akbar and Birbal stories. We have already seen one story in the last video. Now, let's continue with our lesson. Let us see which is the next story. On another occasion, Akbar was relaxing with some of his courtiers. A few of them thought this was a good opportunity to shower praise on the emperor and get some favors from him. They began to compete with each other in praising Akbar. "You are the greatest of the kings. You are the greatest of the kings or emperors that ever lived on earth." Shower praise means lot of praise. One day, while Akbar was relaxing, his courtiers began to praise him so that they could impress him and in return get some favors from him. The courtiers started competing against each other to see who could impress him more. So they started saying that he is the greatest king or emperor that ever lived on earth. "You are as great as God Almighty. You are greater than the God Almighty." Now, Akbar was no fool. He did not care for false praise. He stopped the courtiers and asked, "Do you all believe so?" "Yes," they answered in one voice. "All right, then prove it to me. Tell me at least one thing that I can do but God Almighty will not be able to do. Otherwise, you will all incur our royal displeasure. You have till tomorrow morning to prove it." False praise means flattery. Incur our royal displeasure means make me angry. So, in this passage we see that all his subjects or the people present were trying to impress him. And they started comparing him, or they started saying that he was greater or better than God. Now Akbar was very intelligent and he did not like this flattery that his courtiers were giving him. So what did he say? He told them that you have to give me some example which shows that I can do something that God cannot. If they are not able to give any example, then he will be very angry with them. And he gives them next day morning to prove it or to give some example. Akbar then left the place without another look at the courtiers. They were in a proper fix. They thought and thought, but couldn't think of any such thing. In the end, they went to Birbal. When Birbal heard their story, he told them not to worry. The next morning, the court was full. Everyone was curious to see what would happen next. "Well," said the emperor, "have you found a good answer to my question? Or are you ready to leave the court?" Just then, Birbal stepped forward and bowed low. "Please don't be angry with those who think you are the greatest. There's certainly at least one thing that you can do, but the God Almighty cannot." Now Akbar was very angry with the subjects or the people present in his court, and he left them in a proper fix. In a proper fix means in a difficult situation. Now all these courtiers, they were thinking, what do we reply? What example can we give him? At the end, they couldn't think of anything. So they went to Birbal. Now, Birbal heard their story and he told them that, "Don't worry, I will take care of it." The next morning, when everyone came back to court, the emperor asked them, "Have you found any good answer, or are you ready to leave the court?" Birbal steps forward and says that, "Please don't be angry with the people who think you are the greatest, because there is something that you can do but God cannot. Akbar looked at Birbal thoughtfully. And what is that one thing? When you want to punish someone, you can banish that person. You can throw him out of your kingdom. But God's kingdom extends everywhere. The Almighty cannot banish anyone from His kingdom. Akbar's face was lit up with a smile. That was very clever, Birbal. While showing you how I have an advantage, you have also shown that God is greater. I believe you. Akbar was so pleased with the answer that he forgave the courtiers for their stupidity. Banish means order a man to leave a place as a punishment. Now in this passage we see that Birbal says that Akbar had the power to banish exile someone from his kingdom, but God cannot, as Akbar's kingdom is limited, but God's kingdom extends everywhere. Akbar was very happy with Birbal and he forgave his courtiers, as Birbal had not only answered Akbar's question but at the same time had reminded him that God is greater than him. Children, with this we finish explanation for our lesson. We will stop here. Thank you for listening.